Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar on ISO 27001. My name is Mona Lisa Bhagat, and I'm a manager with RISPRO India. We shall wait for a couple of minutes for the other participants to join in. Thank you.
Yes, you are. Yes. म्हणून मला प्रॉब्लेम आला हिस्ट्री क्लास मध्ये This is the first webinar. There is some problem there. Have you learned what is there in the slides? Good luck, Daddy.
Mr. Suhas?
Yes.
Mr. Suhas, can you just mute, please?
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining again. I would like to give you a brief overview of our company, RISPRO India Ventures Private Limited. RISPRO India is a risk advisory consulting firm. We are in this business since 9 years with our office in Mumbai, and we have presence in 7 other cities. We have served around more than 425 clients till now. We are around 50 plus team members and 10 strategic partners. We have 4 business verticals: risk advisory, technology, recruitment, and trainings. In risk advisory and assurance, we conduct GDPR compliance, SSAE 18, IFC reviews, risk-based internal audit, IT audit, PDP compliance, etc. With respect to technology, we provide software for legal compliance management, internal audit software, contract management, litigation management, third-party risk management, etc. through our technology partner firms. In training, we conduct in-person or online trainings on topics like ERM, risk assessment, anti-money laundering, fraud risk, etc., as per the company requirements. In recruitment, we provide full-time and part-time internal auditors and virtual risk managers for audit and risk requirements. So today's webinar will be for around 60 minutes, and out of these 60 minutes, we shall keep around 10 to 15 minutes for our question and answer session. During the webinar, all the participants will be on mute mode, that is listen only mode. If any participant would like to ask any questions, they can always write in the questions tab. In case any participant is facing any difficulty in, say, viewing screen of the presenter or listening to the presenter, I would request to kindly log out and log in the webinar. If the issue still continues, kindly drop a message in the chat box and our technical person will look into the same. Thank you again. I would now hand over to Mr. Suhas Vaidya.
Okay, thank you, Mona Lisa. Good morning, all, and welcome to this webinar on overview of ISO 27001 2013. And in this course of the webinar, we'll have a quick review on the what is ISMS and what is ISO 27001 2013 version. So before we go into the details of those, what is ISO, the standards we are talking about? So ISO is basically an international organization for standardization. It's a Geneva-based organization which came into existence to remove the non-trade barriers. So basically to facilitate international trade, to set the standards which are followed worldwide and which will facilitate the trade in international trade. So that's the basic purpose of the organization which started. And it sets out lots of standards, the family of system standards, where all of you may be aware about, like quality management 9001, environment management 14001. The information security management standard is also published by ISO, which is numbered as ISO 27001, and we're talking now, which is the latest version, that is 2013. Now, when we talk about the information security, what exactly means by information security? So the first, and what is it? Why should it be there? Now, with the computerization and all the things becoming online, in fact, it has gone way ahead, and we are completely connected for everything in our routine life with information management. We are sharing information, we are receiving information, and we are receiving the information or sharing the information which may be of certain critical nature, confidential nature, or it may be financial, health data, etc. Now, such information is therefore must be kept securely, confidentially, and should be accessible or used by the people who are intended to, and should not be public. Now, with that basic objective, this information security is basically to provide. Yeah, can you hear me?
Suhas, the thing is that there's a lot of background noise.
No, there is no
Or
background noise here.
either it is your voice is a little bit echoing in the mic or something.
All right, is it okay now?
There is a screechy kind of noise.
But there is no noise around me. I'm sitting in a separate room.
Okay, so maybe it's a little bit of echoing in the echoing
Mic,
of your voice, but
is it okay now or no?
no, it's still there.
1 second.
Maybe the mic, you're supposed to hold it in front near you or far from you,
Is it
depends
okay
on
now? Is it all right now?
Yeah, much better.
Better, better.
Better,
Okay,
no?
thank,
Okay.
thank you, Mr.
So,
Suhas.
no problem. So we understand, we go back to understand that when we are sharing a lot of information and receiving a lot of information, we got to know that the information is received by the right person. And the information security is all about ensuring that the correct information without any impairment or correction, etc., goes to the right person whom he should have it availability. So the purpose of information security is to protect and preserve the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. And it also may involve protecting and preserving the authenticity and reliability of information and ensuring that entities can be held accountable. Now, in this COVID-19 circumstances, everybody is aware about WhatsApp, and we've been receiving lots of information, and then which is later been said as rumors. So everybody now know how critical it is, and the government is working on ensuring that the people get the right information. And we can see that the admin at the WhatsApp groups can be held accountable. The police is issuing circulars saying that admins can be held accountable if you are propagating rumors. Now that is the whole information security criticality, and there is no better time to understand how critical it is in this current time when we are working on our mobile instruments and working on WhatsApp and seeking the information all around. Now that's all about why it is important. Now we are talking about the next is why it matters for the organizations, why it is so critical for organization. So now it is already recognized worldwide that information is the key asset. Data is the new gold. Data is the new oil for the future. And we know the large corporations working with the data management, and we know how much investments Geo could brought to Reliance recently. Now that is why, because data is the value. Data has the value. So why this information security? Your customers may mandate it now. They would not do business if you are not certified for something like ISO 27001 standards. So they want some reliability. Regulatory requirements. Now we don't know exactly who is from how much in which industry, but if you are working in say banking, finance, insurance industry, then their regulators like SEBI, RBI, IRDA, they have mandated that these companies which are into the banking or the insurance or the financial field like share market and all, they must have a robust information security framework. They must get audited, and the board has to have the reviews of all of those done. So that comes into regulatory requirement. Increase resilience, sustainability. You cannot operate the business on a long term if your business is not managing the information security, its networks very well. Yeah, with all, even a normal organizations working on an online platforms, cloud platforms like Zoho, or they are using Office 365, or they are using SAP for their business managements. Now they cannot work continuously without having a resilient systems. And reputation risk, we all have heard about. When the data breaches happen, what happens? The people logged out, people change their service providers, people can, you can use like how the people behave, and they don't trust the brands which cannot maintain the data securely. Now that is what is why it matters is the most in the current market. Now when we come to ISO 27001, we are going to talk about what it is. So it is a requirement standard. So we'll see a little history a little ahead, but before that, ISO 27001 is a requirement. So if you read the slide, the last word is requirements. That means ISO 27001 is a standard published by the ISO, against which a third party certification is possible. So you can get yourself audited, and requirement means the 27001 prescribes the basic minimum guidelines or the requirements which organization should comply to ensure themselves to be claiming to be ISO 27001 certified, and a third party certification is possible. So There are multiple standards, like in ISO 27001 family, there will be ISO 27000 standard, there will be 27002 standards, 3, etc. But if you want to get certification for compliance, then it is against 27001, which is a requirement standard. Now, as a quick one, I would like to know about how many of the participants your companies are. So we'll have a quick poll, which I will just launch now. So all of you can just put your confirmation on this poll. We have 20 seconds for you to post your reply on whether your company is ISO 27001 certified. Okay, if majority have posted, I'll close the poll now. And now you can see the results here. It's almost like 32% of the respondents are saying that they are already certified, and there are majority 23 in the next one who says basically that they are planning for certification, and 21% not certified, and some few are not aware of. So going back to what we are learning about, so 27001 is becoming a basic need of the organizations which are operating in the data, which are handling the data. So you are a BPO operation, you are a KPO operations, you are a finance industry, you are a software company, or you are a software development company. That's where basically you would need this certification to going forward. So what is ISO 27001? That is, when we talk about information security management system, so there are two concepts we spoke about. What is information security and what is management system? So management system essentially is about having a systematic approach to achieve the information security. Now it is all about that management system will consist of the policies, procedures, rules, practices which the organization builds around based on their environment. When I say environment, we are talking about the products they offer, the services they offer, the type of customers they service, the type and the nature of data they service or handle, and the kind of information they store, retain, and use it for various purposes. So you may be a BPO organization who is supporting a bank for a credit card operations. You may be handling different kind of financial data related to customer, and you may be a third party assessor for an health insurance company. You may be handling a different kind of information for your customers. So all of those policies and procedures will build upon what kind of data you handle. ISMS enables us to actually work on all of these to define our policies and procedures to do it systematically to ensure that the obligation. Yes. Yes.
Just change the slide. No, I haven't changed the slide.
You'll have to close the poll.
I close the poll. Okay. Hide results. Is that all right now? Can I see my slide?
Yes.
Yeah, now we can see. Now we can see.
Okay, fine. So this is all about when we talk about the management system, that is of information security. Now, management systems can be multiple management system. Your organizations may have my management information systems like MIS, financial information systems. It may have a quality management system or a health and safety system. Similarly, the management system for information security, what it should be is what ISO 27001 addresses. It is nothing but writing specific policies, procedures, activities, action plan, roles and responsibilities, authorities, rules and processes, records related to information security. That is the core of this. So let us understand one. Now, with majority of the participants already has saying that there are organizations are certified for the ISMS. Your organization may have the policies and practices built up. However, depending on the environment and the change in the business, there's always a variety in the level of implementation. So could we know basically from you, how good you think your organization is implementing and following these policies? So we'll have this second poll for that. Okay, I'll close the poll now and let's see the result. Okay, so majority says yes, the required policies as defined by the organization are implemented. That's a very wonderful thing. Then partially implemented and not implemented follows certainly. Now the partial implementation and not implementation is what certainly always a matter of concern for the organization. But having complied and implemented is a very good thing. It's a continuous process for the information security management system to remain resilient, relevant, and remain updated. So the policies framework, the procedures framework, and other rules related to information security cannot be static. With every change in the organization, whether it is infrastructure, customer requirement, regulatory requirement, or the business process change, will have certainly some impact on information security policies. So when we say implemented, we got to be very sure of also understanding what is the frequency of reviews that we do. Of course, as a matter of practice, good practices, where the organizations have reported they have implemented, I'm sure you would have certain practices for regular review and updation of those policies. But it is certainly a good factor that 62% participants says that the policies are implemented. So we see a little history on ISO 27001. Before it became an ISO standard, that means what change does it make? Earlier, every country.
Sorry to interrupt you. You have to change your slide. You're on hold. Yeah.
Okay, I changed. Can you see this?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay.
We can see now.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened is that when every country, depending on their state, their nature of businesses and the maturity of the industry, adoption of technology, keep adopting and evolving with the standards. So especially with information security, the standard 27001 we are referring, it's basically based on the British standard, which was BS 7799. So the code of practices came in, which becomes, whenever such code of practices comes in, they are involuntary, they are not mandatory unless they are adopted by standard bodies. So the British standard becomes a national standard body, only applicable to the British corporations who are working in a particular area, etc. But the worldwide bodies may not accept. With the adoption into an ISO framework of such standard, what happens is that the framework becomes universal, accepted and recognized universally in the same fashion That is the advantage of getting into an ISO standard. So the BS 7799 first time became an ISO standard 27001 in 2005. That is 27001 2005. Now the current version we are using is ISO 27001 2013. Now information security standard has all along been a risk-based standard. However, with the 2013 version, it adopted the framework what is called as Annex SL. Annex SL is the standard framework for standard writers, so that you will see in future, if you, in case you have an any opportunity of reviewing the similar standard, you will see that 27001 has the same format and structuring as that of 9001 or 14001, etc. And what is the advantage? It just ensures that it becomes easier for the organization to adopt multiple management system standards like quality, environment, information security, business continuity, or any such standards which is called as management system standard. So that's the history we are talking about now. And after 27001 2013, of course, the 27002, which is again the code of practices for information security management, was updated in the 2013. Now, who can use this standard? When we talk about the system standards, these are called as generic standards. That means they can be applied by any organization, whether they are a private limited, public limited, a 50 employee company, or a 5,000 employee company, or a 500,000 employees companies. You are into a service industry like banking, finance, insurance, or you are into a manufacturing industry, you are into automotive industry, or you are into a retail shops business like say DMart or More or Star Bazaar or anything like that, or you are like Shopper Stop. Everybody who is handling information can adopt to information security management system. So the best advantage of this ISO standard is it is very generic standards and can be used by anybody. Now, what benefits does it make? Why should you have ISMS basically? One, most importantly, commercial operational peace of mind, and we are ready for certain requirements like GDPR assessments, HIPAA and SSAE assessments, etc. The key part always is going to be when you are handling confidential information of your customers, you do not want any claims or litigation for misuse of the information in your possession. So the ISMS is supposed to give you that protection, that peace of mind, that by holding the information, you are ensuring that the information is safe and it is not likely to get misused by you. Now, what is information? We've been talking about all along what is information security. So what is information? There is no typical definition under the ISO 27001 for the information. However, it is recognized nowadays that information is a business asset. There is no poll question I have specifically added, but many of you would know that whenever your customers intend to do a new business with you, what do they send you first is sign a non-disclosure or a confidentiality agreement. Unless you sign those confidentiality agreements, they don't start sharing any information with you, whether it is related to product, pricing, technicalities, process data, or processing information. So no technical or commercial information is shared unless we sign and agree to respect and protect their information which is shared with us. Now, why it is so? The fundamental line of understanding for this NDA is that the customer recognizes that information as asset. He says it is my proprietary critical information, it is my ownership, my asset, so you have to be very careful with it. Now, this is something. What is information? It can be any process data, it can be data used in any formats, etc. Now, what is information can be in different form. All of us knows this has been quite simple to understand. You can maintain information in pictorial format, it can be drawing, it can be sketches, it can be a text document, it can be a handwritten document, it can be a printed document, or it can be anything. So it can be a stone carving itself can be an information, till encrypted software file code is also an information. Whatever is conveyed, data conveyed is information, and it can take any form, it can be conveyed in any manner. Now, when we talk about information security, what we are actually talking about, we are talking about setting up the strategies for managing the processes, tools, and policies to ensure that prevent, detect, and document and counter the threat. So what do we prevent? We prevent misuse of the information. We prevent unauthorized access of the information. What do we detect? We detect unintended access attempts, like we're talking about attacks, spams, or we are talking about any hacker trying to intrude in your system, etc. We document basically is a part of the knowledge management as well as guiding the future activities. So we document all that, how we are doing, why we are doing, who is it doing, etc. And we counter the threats. So we are saying about all such external unauthorized people trying illegally to access your information. We are trying to prevent them from getting in our systems. So that is countering the threats. So going ahead, one important aspect of this countering threat policies is about how good do we know that our team members in the organizations understand all of this information security, and which is basically through a lot of trainings, awareness, etc. So let us have a quick understanding on your organizations on training practices related to the ISMS. So can we have your organization related respond to this, that how many trainings basically did you do, any trainings in last 6 months for ISMS awareness? Okay, if you can quickly respond to the poll, I'll close the poll in another 5 seconds. Thank you. Okay, so if you see, we have the response here where majority says no. So in last 6 months, there is no ISMS awareness training in your organizations. Few have planned, and yes, then the second option is yes, we are doing it. Now, the most important part of the training is not about whether it has been provided to the IT team. It is in fact more important that whether we are providing ISMS trainings to all other than IT team, because IT team is deemed to be aware about this. They know the practices, they should know the seriousness, they are expected to know all of this, though of course they need trainings about the changing policies and all. I'm not saying no to them, but what is most important is you would be giving access to the people on their mobiles for the company information, on data server accesses, or it can be some cloud-based data sharing happening with customers, which is of technical confidential nature information. So ISMS training actually should cover everybody in the organization. Now we are not covering all those detail aspects right now, but it seems that certainly in your organization where it is no, the organization must take it very seriously to ensure that all the members are covered. Now, when we say ISMS, let's have a quick look what it is dependent on. The pillars of ISMS, as we say in information security, second slide itself, that it requires and it basically ensures three things. That is confidentiality of information, integrity of information, and availability of information. So as we all know, what is confidentiality? So confidentiality is the prevention from any unauthorized disclosures of the information. So we do not want the information to be in public domain. It should be need to know basis, accessible probably only to the people who are supposed to access the information. So we are talking about classifying the information, writing their access rights of the information, even the nature and the duration of access is can be limited, etc. Then when we talk about integrity, integrity is basically it aims to ensure that information is untampered, unaltered, and it can be relied on. So though there are certain points here, but the most and the basic understanding of integrity means the information is should be maintained, and whatever is accessed should not be, it can be relied on. It should not be tampered, whether it is intentional or unintentional. When we say it is an intentional tampering, we talk it's about like a information security crime. Somebody is trying to manipulate the things, but there can be unintentional error also, which can be due to certain other actions, which can be impact SMS, or which can be unintentional, like somebody changed the file without forgetting their undo or something. He just saved the file and it is now permanently saved. Or it can be something like deletion of a particular file is happening. So integrity is very important when user is accessing the data. And availability, so whenever we want the information, it should be available to the authorized people only, correct? So when you want to access, internet is not available, you cannot view the files are not getting downloaded, or these kind of things should be avoided. Now that is something called as availability. So when we talk about the ISMS, what are we talking about as considering about? So three fundamental considerations in designing and implementing ISMS is confidentiality, integrity, and the availability. So we are going to learn and do everything that is ensuring required with reference to these three aspects of information. Now ISO standard says how do we do it? So ISO standard has always prescribed PDCA cycle. Now PDCA cycle was introduced into the ISO standards basically since 2000. Okay, so when we talk about the 2000 version of the standard, not about 27001, I'm talking about the other standard, but the PDCA cycle came in. So what it says is that the you should have everything done in a systematic way, and PDCA cycle guides you for that. So first it says plan, then do, check, and act. So first you should not do anything without having a proper planning, giving a thought, writing the policies, objectives, processes, procedures, etc. And once you have agreed on that, and then you do it, and then you check whether it is correct or whether it is not correct. And then once you do the check, now check as we generally know could be called as an audit process. And then whatever the non-conformities we find, we say act, that is go on further improving. So continuous improvement is been a part of the standard since ages. So PDCA cycle is what ISO 27001 also adopts. Now this is all about the PDCA, how the standard is designed. So we have a PDCA. So there are clauses 4 number to 10 number in the ISO 27001, and in that respect, clause 4, 5, 6, 7 is all about plan. 8 number is do, 9 number is check, and 10 number is act. So 9 number is actually covering all that internal audit and management review, you can see, which is a check activity. Plan activity covers all the things that you have to consider for building a good ISMS in your organization. Now ISO 27001 Annex is actually covers what is called as these controls. So various areas of information securities are being listed there. We'll not be getting into all those details now, but just for your understanding, it talks about the policies, it talks about access management, access control, and we will see some do's and don'ts about them. Now, what are some mandatory requirements? So whenever when the organization is planning to implement the ISMS, okay, these are few mandatory things. First, you must have scope. What is scope? We are talking about the location or the activities we are trying to cover. Then we must have a documented policy for the information security. We should do the risk assessment processes, risk treatment processes. Now this is all when we do clause 4, 5, 6, 7 in the planning part of it, and we write the objectives for it, because we must know how do we measure whether our system is actually achieving the right output or not. So there must be a measurable objective, and we must maintain evidences whether we are doing it rightly and whether we are not done it something rightly. So the standard prescribes retention of document as where the records are mandatory basically for the particular clause or the particular requirement is concerned. Okay, so then let us understand quickly from a small poll again, which says how do you maintain your ISMS records, whether you have a paper-based system or you are using Excel or something. So you can just quickly give a feedback to understand how do you use this process, record keeping. Then the okay, so we can see it's equal basically, where people are using majority companies are either using email or Excel, or then it is a workflow based program. Now when we look at these two methods, essentially the workflow based method with the proper record keeping is certainly a good practices, while email and Excel always have a problem in terms of their retrievability of the information when the need is. And the most important part of this triad is availability. So if you cannot actually retrieve the information, that means availability is an issue. Now going forward, let's have some quick do's and don'ts to go through. uh, First, on the physical security. So of course, when we say do's, follow the security procedures, wear identity card. Many of your organizations, or probably all of you, must be having the ID cards, but wearing it may not become mandatory in many organizations, or there may not be physical access control limitations which can be then accessed through. What it means? It means we can track the people on their movement and ensure that the unauthorized people cannot access the areas which they are not authorized for. So these few do's and don'ts are covered basically for the physical. Password, 8-character long, it should be combination. Now these are certain good practices as the risk or the threats are evolving. We don't know tomorrow it can become more, but that depends on what kind of threat assessments do we assess. In terms of the internet usage, all of us would be knowing about this. Use official purpose. Now this is some ethical or the other angle, but there is certainly a security angle when we use unsecured sites, unapproved sites, or some doubtful sites, etc., because those sites can infect your computer with certain malicious codes for data theft and everything. Email users, we already are aware about. Use it for official purpose only. Do not use for unofficial purposes and etc. More importantly, there are policies which then ensure that the attachment sizes are restricted. These are some other aspects showing that make sure that your PC has a proper updated antivirus and security patches are updated. Then storing official information on personal machines, personal drives, or is something to be avoided. Discussing company matters, don't discuss price, commercial information, customer names, their private data. Basically that is what is expected here. Now who is responsible? You are responsible. Essentially, it means everybody in the organization is responsible for the information security, not just the IT, and the information security team must convey this to all the team members in the organization. So thank you. I think Mona Lisa, you can take over.
Um, Thank you, Mr. Suhas. I would now like Ms. Nivedita to give us a demo on the Flexi tool.
Yeah, hi Mona Lisa, hi everyone. Thank you Suhas for the introduction to ISO and all the requirements that we have for it. Let me quickly take you through a tool which will help you to have the ISO records stored in a workflow manner where you can do
Nivedita,
many things. Yes,
please share your screen.
yes. Is it visible?
No, not yet. Yes, it's visible now.
I think it's coming up. It's taking time to come.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So let me quickly take you through a tool which will help you to have the ISO records as per the compliance requirements. So the tool is called as Flexi, which is developed by Dynamatics, which is there are certain wonderful features of the tool. So let me just quickly take you through that. So Flexi is a tool which will help you to create your own set of record definitions that you can have. Now, for example, you would want to create a record which is based on some ISO registers like an asset inventory, or you may want to have something like as asset transfers that you do in the organization, or you could have some access request on production servers. So all those records we generally either maintain in paper-based or we have Excel, or some of them might be using some tools, but they do not have some features like expiry part, approvals, and all those things. So Flexi is a tool which will help you to do these things as well as association with like controls, risks, documents, and policies as well. So let us go through that. So you can create customized records in the tool. Then you can also link these records. For example, as I just mentioned, you can associate these records with risk, controls, incidents, documents, policies, or even other Flexi records that might be present. Then you can also see that you can approve these records, because most of the times what we find is we store these details in Excel and these may not have approvals. They are stored, they are not centralized at one place, and you do not know who has approved the formats. There may be issues with authorized access and unauthorized access, things like that. So you also have an approval process that will give you a accurate picture that okay, these records were approved and these are what we are following. So that's the approving part. And we can also define expiry rules. For example, some of our records expire regularly, like software licenses may expire. Then we have some certificates which we renew on a yearly basis. So all these things are helpful in designing the customized workflows by the users themselves. Okay, so let me quickly take an example. For example, as I mentioned, in ISO, you are aware that there are clauses which define. So ISO 27000 2013 define 114 clauses, out of which I've just taken two sample examples. One is the asset management part and the other one is access control. So in asset management, it asks you to maintain asset register, you have ownership of assets, you have a policy for that. You would also have some other records which will tell you help you to track all these things. So these are the things that we generally maintain, but they might be scattered and not together at one place and may not be linked. So to do this, we can use a tool called Flexi. So let me quickly take you through the tool in a few minutes. And this is, let me just also clarify that this is different from the fixed asset register that we have in accounting, because that is a fixed asset register which will have ownership and which will be reviewed on an annual basis, but it may not have associations with other things like risk or incidents or controls and so on. So here's the tool, as you can see on the screen. The tool is a part of a tool called RiskHawk. This module, Flexi, is an independent module as well, which you can see. Now, these are the record types that we have created. The first restriction you can apply is you can also find out who will be submitting the records. For example, it may not be the entire company who will be submitting. There could be specific individuals who would need to submit these record definitions. So you can also define the submission part. So this is how you will define. For example, here there are 3 options. If the asset inventory may not be required to be submitted by the entire company, they can create this, will be done by individuals or groups. So I have defined 2 groups here. It could be from operations and admin team. So this is the restriction that we can apply on who will be able to design it. Then if you come to the next screen, that is submission, here is where we will be seeing the definition. For example, these are all the asset details which I have defined. You can see the data types that have been defined for these assets. It could be defined with anything. Then this is the most interesting part. For example, this asset inventory could be linked with the document, it could be linked with the policy, it could be linked with the control, it could be linked with the risk, it could be linked with any other flexi record. For example, here we have designed asset ownership is another flexi, so you can also link it with that. You can also have customized email templates here that you can design. For example, there is a standard template provided to you, but if you feel you still need changes, you can customize them. Then next comes the approval part. You can design the approval part also by yourself, because sometimes we feel the standard approval documents or the forms that we get may need some more things. Like I feel as an approver, I would want some more things to be defined with more details. You could define the approval forms as well. There are email templates for that as well. You could customize. Then once this is approved, you will also put restrictions on viewing part. Who will view this particular form? For example, when I submit this flexi, when I publish it, who are the people who will be able to view? So what are the assets? You could restrict this based on, again, options, whether it is for an entire company or individual groups or departments and so on. Then coming to the next most important part, do I define any expiry for these? Because assets, if you see, there could be warranty periods, there could be renewals and all those things. So you can define expiry periods for these, and you can also get notification based on that. Who will be notified when it is expiring? It could be the submitter, it could be the viewer, it could be the approver. So you can just create these options as well. Then let's say when we have multiple flexis designed, for example, in ISO, you can see the record management is huge. You would want to group them in different things. Like I could have HR related data, I could have IT related records, I could have asset related records, I could have admin related records. So all of them, I will put them under a group and club them together. So this is the tool definition, submission, approval part. Then let's just see how the screen looks when I want to create a particular record. As you can see here, I have created 2 samples here for an asset inventory and also asset ownership. So you will be able to provide all these details. This is how the screen looks. Then once you submit it, the visibility, as you can see, we had provided visibility only based on limited user or entire company or the groups. Only those users will be able to see. So once it is submitted and approved, you can see the list here. For example, the most common thing when we do an asset inventory is when I come to a particular asset, the desktops or laptops, they get transferred so many times from one resource to another, and I have to keep on tracking the emails and Excel list to find out when this was approved, who approved it, when was it transferred. You can just track all this information in a go. This could be, for example, this is also linked to a document. This is linked to a policy, that is asset management. And this is also linked to a asset transfer. When had this taken place and who approved it? Why did they approve? What was the reason? And so on. You can also see the audit history for this. Everything right now, there have been nothing much. So then, for example, the reverse. Let's say this particular asset is linked to a control. You can come to a control. Let's say when I see the access records, when people access production servers, we take a lot of measures. So we review many things there. So you can see that this could be linked to a control as well. So when I am accessing a server, people have requested the access. Are they following 2-factor authentications? Are they able to do everything? Why was the access provided? And all these details can be tracked in a single location. So just to brief you all, RiskHawk is a tool which there are all the modules related to the risk management part, like risk controls, action plans, KRIs, incidents. You can also have a document part. Along with that, Flexi is also an independent module which is attached. So the USP of this tool is you can also, another thing that you can do is you can also link it to an audit. For example, when I'm auditing something, I would want to see how these records are being managed. So that can also be done. So in short, this is a tool which will help you to manage all your records in a very efficient and better manner. Mona Lisa, I think I am done. We can take the question and answers part. Thank you.
Okay, if any participants would like to ask any questions, I would request them to write it in the questions tab. Mr. Suhas and Nivedita, I don't think so. There are, okay, there is one question. Is there any training schedule in near future?
Training for
Training for what? I mean, we would like to know what training. Training for Flexi tool or training for ISO 27001? You can write to info@rispro.in. You can write to info@rispro.in and we'll get back to you.
Okay, I
Fine, Mona Lisa. If you
I
don't have any
don't
questions, we can
think there are any questions, so I will just conclude this webinar. If any participant has any questions, they can always write to the email ID info@rispro.in. One second, there is a question coming in. When do we raise non-conformity?
Suhas
okay.
can answer
Mr.
this.
Suhas?
The non-conformity is always a part of the audit process. It's a structured document. So whenever you are doing an internal audit and you think certain practices or certain things are not in line against the requirement of standard or your internal policies, you can raise the non-conformity. If you think that you should have certain processes wherein you are not in an audit process but you are seeing certain non-standard practices or wrong things, I think the system should provide for an incident reporting mechanism which then can be internally worked and tracked basically for a review. But otherwise non-conformity is a outcome of a standard structured audit program. Yeah.
There is one more question which we can take. How does ISO 27001 integrate with GDPR?
Okay, I'll try to answer this. One part of when we look at this triad, which is confidentiality of the information, integrity of the information, and availability of the information. So first and foremost, when we do the information classification, when we do the information risk assessment and understand the type of information we handle, we can use the ISO 27001 to classify the information broadly where GDPR gets into play. That is identifying the specific personal nature information which organization receives and retains. So if we are able to identify that, and then we are able to identify the roles, responsibilities as to who receives, and then work on the ISMS part from that input. So once we use that information input related to GDPR, the ISMS comes into picture over above it, that having, receiving and retaining certain personal information, how do we ensure that is confidentiality maintained, it has integrity, that means nobody can change, alter that information, and then only made available on need to know basis. Okay, so I think ISMS is on the top of GDPR, and it will help you to ensure that your compliance to GDPR is improved, or it is at least there. Okay, so we have one more question. MRM is required for this? Yes, it is a requirement of the standard that management should review the information security. In fact, MRM and internal audit is a part of the check processes of all ISO standards. Whether it is ISO 9000, 27001, you will see the requirement of internal audit and MRM are uniform. Yeah, Mona Lisa, I think we
so if anybody would, other participant would like to ask any questions, they can always write it to info@rispro.in. Thank you everyone for joining the webinar, and have a nice day.
okay. Thank you all. Bye.
Nivedita, thanks Mona Lisa, and thanks Suhas.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Mr. Suhas. Thank you, Nivedita.
All the best
Thank you,
for
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.